Mr. Sessions.
Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Ikinson, what does the city of New York think about their crime problem and immigration?
The city of New York has a homicide rate much lower than Washington's, and it's actually going down.
So that's what is that what the mayor says? Is that what the governor says? Is that what the people say?
The mayor made some warnings about a year ago that have not turned out to be correct about crime or disorder in the city.
So I'm mistaken that the governor and the mayor said that immigration was a problem and that they are seeking desperate help from the federal government because they've exceeded their ability to take care of not just the immigrants, but the criminal problem that they have. So I'm wrong.
About a year ago, 2 years ago, they had a lot of people coming from Venezuela who did not have a lot of contacts and people that they could stay with in the United States. And they were at first a burden on the system. They are not anymore, and their numbers are way down.
So thank you for your testimony. Mr. Clem, Mr. Camerata, I've been told, no, it's not a problem in New York, not a problem in New York City. I'm wrong, Mr. Clem?
I wouldn't say you're wrong because we've seen the facts that we've had illegal immigrants that have been caught and released and transferred to New York City committing crimes. I'd also say you're not wrong because the mayor of New York City sent his team down to places like Del Rio, Texas, and Yuma, Arizona to see firsthand what was happening back in 2022. They obviously knew something was going on and were concerned for their constituents in their respective cities. So, yeah, you're not wrong.
There's certainly been high-profile crimes committed by illegal immigrants. And I've written on this question of the background rate of crime rates for immigrants and the U.S.-born. It turns out the data is not very good. But let me just say this. Keep in mind the policy. Sanctuary cities, as a matter of policy, release people who've been arrested and are in jail. The one group of immigrants we know has a high crime rate are people who get arrested and are in jail. And when the ICE asks them to hold that person, they, as a matter of policy, often release. That's what a sanctuary city often does. That is extraordinarily foolish, even if you think that illegal immigrants, on balance, have a somewhat lower crime rate than other groups. Releasing people who get arrested is very foolish when ICE is willing to take them. And that's what these cities do.
Well, I'm willing to go before the House of Representatives on the floor and admit that I am wrong, that the mayor of New York City does not believe that, nor has over the last 10 weeks. I'm willing to go to the floor of the House of Representatives and admit that I was wrong, that the governor of New York encourages this, and that it's not a problem to the state of New York. That is not what I thought. And so, Mr. Isaacson, I'll just apologize to you right now. You've told me I'm wrong. You've told me that the state of New York and the city of New York is perfectly safe, that the crime rates are lower.
I didn't say that perfectly safe.
Yes, sir, you did, because I gave you a chance to, and you told me it's lower today and that the immigrants have very little are very little part of that.
I stand
by
that.
I'm going to admit I'm sorry. I am sorry that I have thought this, and I'm sorry. So I'm going to go and check the facts, but I'm going to admit to you that it's not what I thought. That I thought, just like in Philadelphia and a lot of other places, that the crime in Chicago, the crime as it relates to these Venezuelan gangs, is a real problem and criminal to police officers, to cities, to the people of the city of Chicago. And I will tell you, I will apologize to you right now that you have corrected me as a professional witness giving testimony.
Look at the most recent data.
That you raised your hand. I didn't raise my hand. You did, and said you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And I did.
So I know you did. I watched. So I will apologize right now to you. I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to double check the facts. And I appreciate the gentleman very much.
Can I ask you to not pick anecdotal data and look at the most recent numbers? Of course, you're
just-
going to find evidence that,
Well,
that migrants are committing
recent
crimes.
data-
But what's the rate?
Recent data, I asked about what the city of New York, the mayor was saying. I asked what the
In
governor-
2024, the second half of 2024, you won't
Well, I
find as
didn't
much
say
on the
the
record.
second half. I didn't
You said what
spec-
he's saying. That's current presently now.
Okay, well, I'm going to go check it.
What he said in
because-
2022 is something
Sir,
else.
I'm going to tell you I apologize because it is
Thank you, I
not what I
accept.
thought at all. and I will be glad to go check that. And, Mr. Chairman, I want to yield back my time.
Thank you. I'd like to also request, Mr. Chair, unanimous consent to enter 2 articles into the record. The first is an article entitled, "Immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than U.S.-born Americans, studies find." This was dated March 8th, 2024, from NPR. The second is an op-ed entitled, "Many Americans believe migrants bring fentanyl across the border. That's wrong and dangerous," end quote. That's from the LA Times, dated February 12th, 2024. Thank you.
Without objection. Andy Biggs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's get to this thing. The Muslim ban that was mentioned. What countries were involved in the Muslim ban? Anybody know? I know. Anybody want to take a guess? I'll tell you who they were. Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, and North Korea. Is North Korea a Muslim country? No, it is not. What do those countries, 6 of those 7 countries, have in common? Actually, they have in common that 4 of them were on President Obama's DHS terrorist watch list. The other 3, the other 4 were considered terrorism safe havens. Only 12% of Muslims around the world were impacted. And besides that, Mr. Clem knows this, Mr. Camerata knows this, I would hope Mr. Isaacson knows this, there were exceptions for every one of those countries to come in, so there was not an absolute ban. Another lie told by the left. How about separation? This notion of separation. More than 325,000 unaccompanied children have been misplaced by this administration, admitted to. New York Times did a study. We had the director in, and she admitted it. That's a separation. You know what these guys got criticized for? There's about 4,000 people, kids that were separated, and they found them all, but a few. These guys can't find 325,000, but you're not going to hear my colleagues say anything about it. U.S. crime rate is not down, contrary to what you say. And why do we know that? Does LAPD report? No. Does New York report? No. Does Miami-Dade report? No. Do more than 6,000 police agencies obviate any reporting? That's the correct thing. They don't report. So when you say New York is down, guess what, friend? They don't report to the FBI anymore. They don't report anymore. They stopped reporting several years ago. Why is it? They've told me it's too hard to report. And so that's what you're relying on. You know what the CBP said about Tren de Aragua? Tren de Aragua is now moving into the Northeast. And they are. But crime is down for you. That's good for you, my friend. CBP numbers, you said they're way down. I'm looking at CBP numbers right here. I'm looking at them right here. And you know what I see? I see, let's see here. August of 2023, 304,000. They're down, you're right, almost 50%. They're down to 160,000. But you know what's interesting about that? Jay Johnson, Obama's DHS secretary said, look, if you have more than 1,000 a day, you've got a crisis. Mr. Clem, is that a crisis? You've been there. How many in the last year that you were sector chief, fewer than 8,600 encounters in Yuma? Is that right?
In 2020, it was just approximately 8,800 arrests in Yuma. In 2021, it went up to 114,000. And then in 2022, it went up to 312,000. So we went up to over 1,000 a day just in Yuma alone.
Right. So if you take it, if you're standing on top of Mount Everest and you come down 1,000 feet, it may look like you've really descended a whole lot, but you ain't descended back to normal. And we're nowhere near normal. And that's the lie. That statistics that you guys are rallying around, it just blows my ever-loving mind. How about the bipartisan deal, the so-called bipartisan piece of crap deal out of the Senate? Mr. Clem, I read your statement, and what did you say? You said something like this. You said, it failed to address the border security requirements still needed by the U.S. Border Patrol. If enacted, it would codify a mandatory nationwide catch and release scheme for all populations anytime there is limited consequences of detention or removal, even returning to Mexico, incentivizes more people to make the dangerous journey. That dangerous journey, that's what's inhumane, is it not?
That's correct. The journey is dangerous.
And so the bill that you referred to as a better bill was H.R. 2, which has been languishing over in the Senate for over a year now. That was a bipartisan bill. That was a bill would have made significant changes along the border. Quit lying. Let me tell you, how about CBP-1, the CBP-1 app? How is that figured in? How's that counted in? Is that counted in your encounters between ports of entry or at the port? No, it's not counted in. And you know what? You know what those numbers are? And this will take you right back up to 2023 levels. 530,000 migrants, okay, that's the CHNV program. 813,000 came in under the CBP-1. That takes you right back up to the 2023 levels, doesn't it not, Mr. Klim, Mr. Camerata? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
And then when
Yes,
you,
if you add them together.
yeah, and then when you throw in the Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela numbers, now you're back right at maybe even a little higher than the 23 numbers. And that's the point that none of you all want to admit. You want to dance around it and you want to say, well, now they're legal. They got some kind of legal status. You know what they've got? They've got an illegal parole status, because parole under the INA is meant to be a singular, particularized parole status. But they've got categorical parole status here. And they know that's wrong, and that's where they should have stopped. And Mr. Chairman, my time's way over, but there's so much more to say here to rebut the crapola we've heard here today. Yield.
Mr. Chair, since I know time went over, can I just add one thing?
If he's adding,
It's in
if he's adding, I'm going to add. You got time before we started. I didn't get that time.
Oh, well, that's because I'm the ranking member.
Yeah,
of the
who
committee.
cares if you're the ranking member? If you ask for a regular order, then do regular order.
Thank you, sir. As ranking member, can I, since you had more time, just one quick thing. I just want to clarify that actually the gentleman is actually incorrect. Both the states of New York and California, the city of New York City, the city of Los Angeles, do send their reports and their crime reports, and they are included in the data. And so I just think that the facts are important, and I won't.
Yeah, they are.
I won't.
So I demand time to respond to that.
I definitely
because
won't
he just
correct
called-
every.
called me
I
a
won't
liar,
correct.
so
I won't
I
correct
want
every
that
misstatement.
time. I want that
I did
time,
want to
Mr.
correct
Chairman.
those. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because if you look at the Marshall Project itself, which is not a conservative group, they will tell you. If you look at the FBI data, more than 52% of agencies don't report all of their data to FBI, and that's the facts. And facts are a stubborn thing, and doggone.
And lastly, like
go to Nancy.
having served as mayor for 8 years and had a police force of 600 police officers, did a great job. The city of Los Angeles, the city of New York, I can tell you, guarantee you, they report their
Nancy
data.
Mason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And talking about extraordinary foolish, I know that was said earlier by one of our witnesses. It's not just cities, it's counties too. I've been nuking Charleston County Sheriff over the last 24 hours over her lies about the illegals that are in South Carolina, her lies about releasing them into our state, and that sort of thing. And when you're talking about New York, Mr. Biggs, if you talk to an NYPD officer, they'll tell you they're not charging these illegals with crimes. And then when they do, they're released and they're not given a bail or a bond when they go out. And so the left, it's just all one big lie, and it's not right to the American people. And the statistic that crime is down for migrants, every illegal who is here illegally entered our country illegally. They literally committed a crime on the way in. So they are 100% guilty of committing a crime. Mr. Chairman, I brought a folder today because I'm going to enter in some documents into the congressional record this afternoon. So I want to thank our witnesses for being here today. I'm going to focus my time on the human costs of sanctuary policies from local officials, including Charleston County Sheriff, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, and I hope she's watching today. If she's watching, I hope you have a number 2 pencil and you take notes, because this is how I do my job. Charleston County Sheriff, the Charleston County actually in my district used to be a model for cooperation between ICE and local law enforcement. It is no more. Charleston County had a 287G cooperation agreement in place with ICE, acted as an over 72-hour detention facility for aliens apprehended by ICE, and worked together to enforce our nation's laws and keep our community safe. No more because of Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano. Unfortunately, in early 2021, the new sheriff of Charleston County, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, began a systematic effort to dismantle immigration enforcement in Charleston County. Sheriff Graziano on her first day in office, terminated Charleston County's 287G cooperation agreement with ICE. She announced this in front of a taco shop. I don't know why. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter this picture of Sheriff Graziano terminating her 287G agreement in front of El Pincho Taco into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. I also would like to request unanimous consent to enter this photo. It's Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano's Twitter header. Here she is with wide open borders are Kamala Harris. Here she is with Joe Biden, who often loved to walk away from the podium and not take questions from press, just like Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano did today at her own press conference. I'm not sure who did it better, her or Joe Biden. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this
Without
into the record.
objection.
Thank you. I would like to she refuses to notify, Sheriff Graziano refuses to notify ICE when a criminal illegal alien is in custody and refuses to provide adequate hold time for ICE to assume custody. I'm going to request unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, to enter her statement yesterday where she says, our policy clearly states on our public website we only hold residents for ICE if they have a I-247, a detainer immigration center signed by an immigration judge. That's per her office policy. I would like to enter her statement into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
In that same vein, I'm going to enter her own office policy that says she can and will release criminal illegal aliens into South Carolina. This is her policy she cites as the reason she does this. Did you know she wrote and signed off on her own department policy? It doesn't get any dumber than this. Literally is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in South Carolina history. Her department has been designated as a non-cooperative by ICE. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this list of non-cooperative institutions into the congressional record, sir.
Without objection.
All right, I'm running out of time. I'm going to enter and request unanimous consent to enter this document from ICE. She called me a liar today, where she has released over 50 illegal immigrants into South Carolina, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
I would like to request unanimous consent to enter all my letters to Sheriff Graziano and ICE into the congressional record over her behavior.
Without objection.
And lastly, she called me a liar today, and she also said that crime has gone down, violent crime has gone down in Charleston County. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask for unanimous consent to enter the SLED, State Law Enforcement Division's Crime in South Carolina annual report, where it shows violent crime is up. Murders, aggravated assaults, stolen vehicles, etc. It's up, it's not down, it's a lie. Mr. Chairman?
Without objection.
Thank you, and I yield back.